Hey everyone, and welcome. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. There's a number of people in the group already. If anyone can just write in the chat, just give me a quick hello, tell me that you can hear me. That would be fantastic. Hopefully, you can hear me. Can anyone hear me? Okay. There we go. Perfect. Amazing. Thank you, Terry, Stephen, Yvette, Beverly. Wonderful. We're just going to give everyone just a couple more minutes to get into the room here. But we will be getting started very quickly because, as usual, I might have put a few too many things into this training. So I'm just going to configure my screen here a little bit. Let me just shift some things around. And we'll get started very, very shortly. There we go. How's everyone doing tonight? And where's everyone coming in from? Amazing. Where's everyone joining me from? I do recognize the name, so I probably know, but share for the rest, for everybody else's sake anyway. Fort Myers for Terry, wonderful. California for Yvette, excellent. Texas, so many people in so many warm places. I will say, like, I'm in Canada, we are starting to warm up, but it's springtime, so it's a little bit cooler than I would like it to be right now. Nova Scotia, amazing. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Yeah, so it's a few minutes past. I'm going to go ahead and get started because, like I said, I've got a whole lot that I want to cover tonight. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So I think I've almost got my screens done configuring here. There we go. All right. Before we get started, just a few quick little housekeeping things that I always like to cover. So the first thing is to remove some distractions. I know how easy it is, and we're going to be talking about this a little bit in today's training as well, about the importance of removing distractions. So silence your phone, shut down your mail program, turn notifications off, so you can dedicate this next hour to really learning. And on that note, the webinar will be about an hour long. I do my best to stick to this time as much as possible. I've got a lot of things I want to cover, but I will try to keep us within our time frame, which is why we're getting started on time. But I do also recommend taking notes. I'm going to cover a lot of things today, and I don't expect you to remember all of them. So not only will you want to have your notes to be able to reflect back on later, but it will also, studies have shown that it actually helps with retention. So a training like this improves if you take notes, it improves your retention and your chances of actually taking real action. And that's, at the end of the day, I want you guys to take action from here. Feel free, of course, to ask questions throughout today's training. You've already all found the chat box, so thank you on that. So feel free to ask questions. I may ask you to hold a particular question, though, until the end if I feel that maybe it's not a simple answer and is one that needs a bit more discussion, or if I think that I'm going to be answering it in one of the future slides. And so just in order to respect the time limit, I might ask you to hold it, but feel free to ask them as we're going along as well, because if I can get to it as I'm covering that topic, I certainly will. And then you will want to stick around until the end. I have a very, very special offer for all those who are here live today. But for those of you that are watching this on the replay, I've got something super cool for you as well. So be sure to watch all the way to the end to see what I've got for you. So I'm going to go ahead and start by introducing myself a little bit. I don't want to bore you with all the awards that I've won or all the stages that I've spoken on, but I will say that as someone who has operated multiple successful businesses with a team of staff, as a solopreneur to start off with and building a team of staff, I've seen a lot, and I know the challenges that come with balancing our businesses every day. And so I've developed a number of strategies to help you to work smarter, not harder, and to achieve the success that you desire. So really, really briefly, who am I? For those who don't know, and I know that most people on here do know who I am, but for those who don't, I'm Shauna Simon, the CEO of Shauna Simon Coaching, which is a coaching company. Obviously, it's in the name. We provide one-on-one and group coaching. I'm also the CEO of SLS Academy, which provides online training on demand. mostly geared towards home staging individuals specifically. And then I'm also the CEO of Beyond the Design Studio, which is an interior design company operating in Canada. So my background is actually in analytics. I have a Bachelor of Mathematics degree with a minor in business and worked as an analyst for a number of years before shifting gears into entrepreneurship. So you will notice that I am very data driven. I am very systematic in the things that I do and the way that I teach. And then I also always feel the need to mention that I am a crazy cat lady. And part of the reason why I mention that is because there is a really solid chance that you will see or hear a cat at some point on today's training. So I just always like to give a little bit of a heads up on that. I only have 4 cats right now, but I foster through my local humane society. So I often have like anywhere from like 12, 13 cats or whatever. But I've just got my guys right now, no fosters. We're taking a little bit of a fostering break because we've been fostering nonstop for several months. So I like to give them a break every now and then. But if you follow me on social media, you will see them on social media as well sometimes. So if you follow me on social media, you will probably see lots of pictures of my speaking engagements, both virtually and in person. I'm an international speaker. I'm also a podcast host, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. You might also see me posting photos of my fitness activities. I travel around the world doing Tough Mudders. I'm also an avid runner, and I absolutely love boxing as well. And then you might have also heard of this little thing I did recently. I launched the Real Women, Real Business podcast, which is the female entrepreneur's guide to achieving success without burnout. So if you haven't checked it out yet, be sure to check it out. Simply go to aboutshaunaLynn.com/podcast. Don't worry, I'll send you the link in a follow-up email after tonight's training if you want to check it out, because I've got lots of great strategies on there as well to help you on your daily journey. So I will tell you that my journey to where I got to today did not come without some roadblocks along the way. So in 2017, I got shingles, and that sent my body into an absolute tailspin. I had been burning the candle at both ends. This probably sounds familiar, working all of the hours of all of the days, building my businesses. And I thought everything was going really, really well. But the reality is that I overstressed my body, and I ended up paying a pretty sad price for it, unfortunately. With my body's defenses super low from overworking myself, shingles snuck in and pushed my body just right over the edge. So it actually took me 3 intense years to reclaim control over my health and over my business. I've been working the last several years to simply maintain things, but it took me 3 years to get here in the first place. And earlier this year, I actually celebrated my 46th birthday. And I will tell you, I am in the best shape of my life. But again, it didn't come without some bumps along the road along the way. Now, the spinoff from shingles, what ended up causing this 3-year recovery was that it turned into this adrenal fatigue. That meant that I had very little energy to draw from each day, and therefore I had only a few hours of productive time each day. So with that, though, I really needed to make the most of it. And through my recovery, I developed methods for not only navigating the demands of the business, utilizing less hours in the day, but I've also learned both effective stress management and time management strategies to help to prevent burnout so that I can continue to grow and build my businesses without falling into the same trap that I did previously. So I now work with female entrepreneurs like you to build your empire without sacrificing your physical and your mental health and well-being, using many of the strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So on that note, let's go ahead and get started. Maybe, here we go. Yep, there we go. So here's what you're going to learn today. We're going to be covering what the productivity paradox is and how to avoid it. We're going to talk about the secret to ensuring that you're always working on the top tasks for business growth. I'm going to give you the time management strategies that will help you to reclaim an extra 10 plus hours every week. I promise. These are incredible. We're going to talk about how to overcome the most common productivity challenges so you can stay focused on your goals and turn productivity into your everyday superpower. And then the step-by-step process for implementing time blocking into your daily routine. This is huge. You're going to want to hang out for this alone, trust me. Now, before we go much further, I do want to cover a concept that I've talked about previously on some of my past webinars and on my podcast, but in case you haven't heard this term before, I want to explain to you what the accidental CEO is. And I will say most of my coaching clients actually fall into this category of the accidental CEO. This means that you knew you were starting a business, but didn't necessarily realize that you would be running a company. Very, very few of my clients have ever created a business plan prior to launching their business. And while they may have some ideas of where they're headed in their head, they don't have anything formally outlined. Now, all of that said, there are a ton of extremely successful accidental CEOs. But the challenge that most people face is not just starting and getting that initial momentum, though that can be a challenge as well without that clear plan. But the real challenge comes when it comes to scaling the business. Without a clear direction, accidental CEOs often find themselves just constantly busy, but not necessarily growing. And in fact, finding it difficult to even imagine growing because, again, you're already working so many hours. So if you're not taking the time to reflect on your business, its structure, your services, your pricing, your operations, then it's really easy for things to get out of focus, and it can be very difficult to grow and scale your business. So that leads me to the first concept that I want to cover. Just because you're busy doesn't mean that you're necessarily working on the right things that are going to move your business forward. So don't mistake being busy for being productive. And that leads me to the productivity paradox. So many entrepreneurs, and especially female entrepreneurs, get trapped in this productivity paradox cycle. So what it means is that you're busy, but nothing is actually getting done. You're constantly juggling tasks, but you're not seeing any sort of significant progress. And we often just find ourselves overwhelmed by the sheer volume of work, but with what seems little to nothing to show for it at the end of the day. So why do we do this? Why do we find ourselves stuck in this productivity paradox? The biggest answer is generally just that we feel the need to say yes way more than we should. This is especially common with my accidental CEOs. Again, it kind of goes back to that lack of clarity of overall direction and ultimate goals. So it's usually with the best of intentions. So perhaps it's fear of missing out on something. You see an opportunity come up, you want to say yes to it because, oh, this might be something that I should be doing. Or it's the desire to please others. We don't want to, rock the boat. We don't want someone to be upset with us because we've said no to something. So that's pretty common. Actually, we just don't know how to say no. Most of the time, though, it's because we've been presented with clients, opportunities, etc., that we feel could maybe help to move the business forward. That's why we just kind of keep saying yes to things. And you may not be wrong. These might be things that can actually help move the business forward, but doesn't mean that that's where you should be focusing your energies right now. The truth is that many entrepreneurs don't have a clear enough vision of where they're going. So all these opportunities seem like potentially a good idea, but saying yes too often can spread us really thin and divert our focus from our core objectives. It's also really easy to get sidetracked along the way with all these different distractions. So that gets us super, super busy. And when you're busy doing all the things without actually stopping to focus on what's going to get us closer to our goals, you're going to find yourself drained at the end of the day. It's difficult to find time to work on the projects that will help you grow because you've already booked up all your time with other things that maybe aren't quite as important or urgent. So don't mistake busy for being productive. If you eliminate some of the busy work and concentrate on the high level work that moves your business forward, you're going to find your to-do list is lighter and you will have more capacity to make better informed decisions. So how do you avoid falling into this trap? Well, today we're going to cover 3 high performance strategies that actually work and will help you to move your business forward. And you can start putting these into action immediately. All right, so high performance strategy number 1, differentiate busy work from high level tasks. I know, we just talked about this. So it can be really easy to get distracted and overwhelmed with this busy work while never actually managing to accomplish what we set out to do. Everything can seem important in the moment, but then you look up an hour later and realize that your time could have been better spent on something that is perhaps more time sensitive or would have been more revenue generating. And honestly, sometimes this is even, we get into this mindset because it's a task that we actually enjoy, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right one we should be working on. It's natural for us to choose to do things that we find more satisfying or fun rather than the things that actually need to get done. So the best way to combat this is I recommend using what's called the priority quadrant method. So this was Stephen Covey was actually the one who came up with this. And this helps you to prioritize tasks by focusing on quadrants 1 and 2. So this helps in differentiating between tasks that contribute to long-term goals or those that merely demand immediate attention without necessarily a significant long-term impact. So taking a look at priority 1 or quadrant 1, that contains the things that are both urgent and important. And priority 2, quadrant 2, will be items that are important but are less time sensitive. Then of course, quadrant 3 is items that are urgent but perhaps not super important. And the last quadrant are the items that would be nice to do, but they're not especially important and they're not time sensitive. So, and that's where busy work tends to fall into. So quadrant 1, I've put some examples in here, such as active projects and tasks related to those, deadlines for a major project or presentation, scheduled appointments, or dealing with a critical client issue or crisis. So those all fall under urgent and important. Now, quadrant 2 could be things like strategic planning and goal setting, or investing time in personal development and skill enhancement, or back office work and working on the business, which can include anything from exploring new revenue streams, building relationships with key clients or stakeholders, lead generation, and even proactively addressing potential issues before they become urgent. So this can also include client-imposed schedules, though. So my dad, when he worked in a corporate office, they all had cubicles, and in his cubicle, he had a sign up. You might have heard this saying before that says, "Your lack of planning does not constitute my emergency." And a client-imposed schedule is exactly that. I know there's a lot of stagers on this call, and in the staging industry, everything's constantly like, I needed that yesterday. But the reality is, though, that this is usually a client-imposed schedule, as in it's somewhat arbitrary. Does not mean that you absolutely have to drop everything, rearrange your schedule in order to accommodate theirs. So that agent that's trying to book a last-minute consult, sure, it's important, but is it really as urgent as they are making it out to be? This is also where you're not urgent but important. This is also where we want to put some exercise and self-care activities as well. We don't want that to be an afterthought. It is important, but it may not have the same sort of sense of urgency. You don't have to like, oh my gosh, I have to go for a run right this second. Although that is how I feel sometimes when I want to go for a run. So what I recommend doing is just take a blank piece of paper, draw a box on it, put 1, 2, 3, and 4 in it, put your headings about not important, important, urgent, not urgent, and start putting some of the specific tasks or types of tasks that you work on into these different quadrants, and post this on your wall at your desk. So, or keep it in your car, have it somewhere where it can help you to evaluate and prioritize items as they come in. And perhaps this will help you to stop letting some low priority items take over your day. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you some more tips on this too. And so just a little bit more on busy work versus high level work. How else might you identify busy work from high level work? Well, if you do have a clear understanding as to what your vision is, what your goals are, then you can take a look at individual tasks in terms of how do they align with your vision. So you do need to have that clarity on both your short-term and your long-term goals in order for this to be effective. And if you're not clear on that, I did a whole other webinar on that. It's called Stop Dreaming, Start Doing a couple months ago. It's on my website. You're welcome to check it out and sign up for it. It's a free 1-hour training. But that kind of will help you get clarity on your vision and goals. I also talk about it in my podcast, so check that out too. You also want to consider the time investment. So we do tend to like quick wins. So what we often do is we fill out the to-do list with all these small tasks that we can check off and just feel like we've accomplished something. But having just a few high-level tasks rather than a whole bunch of small tasks, that most of the time those small tasks can be delegated or automated. So instead, considering that time investment of like, okay, I've got a couple of hours of time, instead of filling that with 20 small tasks, what if I worked on one big task? And then identify any tasks or routines that are repetitive and consider delegating or automating those whenever possible. So this will help you to free up some time for those low value tasks. It might take a little bit of an investment of time to set it up initially, but then once you've got it running, it can really free you up on a day-to-day basis much more and allow you to focus more energy on high-level tasks that require more of your expertise and strategic decision making. And then evaluate the long-term impact. So consider each task in how it impacts your business's growth and sustainability. So high-level tasks contribute to building a strong foundation for your future success. But busy work is going to provide maybe a little bit of short-term gratification, but very little long-term value. So prioritize the tasks that support your business's long-term vision and growth trajectory. And let me tell you that I do understand, of course, that if you are a solopreneur, there are certain things that are going to land on your to-do list that you just have to do. Like there's no one else to do them at the moment. But this is a great opportunity for you to start identifying what would it look like for you to offload some of the more routine tasks. If they can't be automated, can they be delegated even a few hours a week to potentially a VA? What does that look like for you to do? So again, if you are the solo entrepreneur, I do understand that you don't necessarily have someone immediately available to pass things off to, but it doesn't mean you can't start thinking about a strategy for that at this time. All right, high performance strategy number 2 is, well, effective time management strategies, because time is quite possibly your most precious commodity as a business owner. But in order to move your business further ahead, you ideally want to spend time working on growth strategies. And this is time that you're spending so creating and implementing your business development plans, evaluating where you're at, where you want to go. So this might mean time with your business coach, or time just alone reflecting on your ideas, or time with your team working on your vision, or working on a task for a large project that maybe brings you closer to an ultimate goal. Now, how much time is up to you in terms of how much time you want to spend on these growth strategies. But the more time you can spend on business development and growth, the better your chances for future success. So I would suggest start off with a goal of, say, 5% of your time. So this means if you're working 60-hour work weeks, don't worry, I'm going to do some quick math for you, then you're going to be spending 3 of those hours dedicated to working on the business. And I'm not talking about working on the business doesn't mean paying bills. Like that's not what I'm talking about. That's not moving your business forward. That's keeping it going, yes, but it's not moving your business forward. I'm talking about those business development type strategies. So that might be a new marketing campaign. That might be evaluating your pricing structure. That might mean, a larger goal. Maybe you want to buy a warehouse. Maybe you want to open up a new office space. Whatever that looks like. If you're spending at least 3 hours, that's 5% of your time. That's a really, really good start. And then you can work to increase this percentage over time, while also hopefully reduce the number of hours that you're working as well. So 60-hour work week becomes 55 hours, which becomes 50 hours. But while you're reducing the number of hours that you're working, you're increasing the percentage of them that you're working on your growth strategies. And so I know this might seem like an absolutely unachievable goal, but I promise with the right plan in place, the right structure for your time, and some solid habits, you can actually do it. I speak to many entrepreneurs that say that they're spending less than an hour each week working on their growth strategies. I will say though that all of you being here right now, well, this is an hour training, so you're at least an hour in for this week. So congratulations for you on that. But I also get it. Right now, you're probably thinking this sounds good in theory, but just isn't practical. After all, you're already working all of the hours of all of the days. So how on earth are you going to find time to spend on the business when you're so busy working in the business and working less hours? I'm sure you can't even think about that. So let's cover something first. So I'm going to share some simple tips for getting more work done in less time. And honestly, time management does not need to be nearly as elusive as we make it out to be. It's actually much easier than you think. But first, I want to talk about Parkinson's law. So for those who are not familiar with it, Parkinson's law is the adage that work will expand to fill the time allotted for its completion. So in other words, tasks often take up the time available for their completion, regardless of how much work is actually required. So this is why so many of us procrastinate, because we have the time. So even if we don't actually need the time, we're going to make something take more time. So, and I'll expand on this a little bit in just a little while, so hang with me. But take a look at the time you've allotted for tasks and meetings. Do you actually need that much time? Could it be reduced? if you schedule a 30-minute meeting with someone, you're likely to take up all 30 minutes. But who's to say that you couldn't have accomplished the same things in just 15 minutes? A great deal of organizational inefficiency comes from our inability to effectively utilize our time when there are no strict deadlines or time constraints in place. Okay, so Parkinson's law will say that you will take the amount of time that you need. Again, hang with me. I've got a really, really fantastic example of this towards the end of today's training. But I promise you that most of the things that you are doing can be done in less time. But before we get to that part, let's talk about some time management strategies. So the first one I'm going to talk about is to protect productive hours. And hopefully you guys can still hear me. Sorry, it's telling me that my internet connection was unstable for a moment there. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. Okay, so protect your most productive hours and schedule this time for working on your business. So this means not booking any other appointments for this time. So put the tasks that are important or the tasks that you really don't want to do, even though you know they're important, but you're like, I really don't want to do those. Those are the ones you're most likely to procrastinate on them. Put them at the start of your day. That will help you to avoid procrastinating. And then I also want you to create some triggers to keep yourself on task. So you know what, once you identify what those tasks are, I use ClickUp, and ClickUp has this feature called lineup, and lineup allows me to put my most high priority tasks into this lineup. So I can have a list of 20 things to do, but if I look at my lineup, usually it's anywhere from 3 to 6 items, but the top 3, those are the 3 that I'm concentrating the most on. And so for you, you might want to even just put on a Post-it note. I've done that. There are still some days where I'll put on a Post-it note because I just need something really in my face yelling at me to get back on track. So I put that on my computer so I don't get off track. So determine what your most productive hours are. Identify what those top tasks are that you're going to work on and put those into your most productive hours. And then I want you to restrict disruptions as much as possible. So plan for some focused time. So this means silencing your notifications and going quote unquote offline, off the grid a little bit. I recommend using what's called the Pomodoro method. So this has you working in focused intervals and then taking a small break and repeating it. With this, it's usually 25 minutes working and then 5-minute breaks. However, many have found the 90-20 version to be very effective. And if you've got large projects, you might find you get too far into things that 25 minutes is not quite enough time to really dig in. So you want to do the 90 minutes and then taking a 20-minute break. And you're doing this repeated throughout the day. So figure out the timing and the method that works best for you. But the more breaks you take, the more productive you will be. But when you're working and you're in that flow, you want to make sure you're limiting your disruptions. So maybe in your 20-minute break, you'll allow yourself to check some emails or check some notifications. What I usually do with the Pomodoro method, so 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, I will allot every 3rd or 4th Pomodoro for checking messages. So that allows me to be offline and not checking on my rest time, my break time, not checking those messages. But it also ensures that I do have time planned throughout the day to ensure that I am checking on those messages. I understand that some roles and some jobs, you're less able to go offline for long periods of time. But again, figure out if there are times of the day that you can go offline and then plan to work on these projects in that time. One of the ways that I do this as well is I use an app called Flow, Flow. It's a free app and it actually provides you with a Pomodoro timer. So I recommend checking that out. And then going back to what I was just talking about, emails, take control of your communication. So the average person spends just under 2 hours per day checking and responding to emails. And I don't know about you, but I've worked really, really hard to reduce the number of emails that come to me specifically because I do have a team that I work with. But the challenge for me is still that the emails that come to me, it's not just a quick yes or no type of reply. Every email that comes to me requires me to put some thought into it, come up with a decision. So each email is like a mini task. So that can get really, really daunting after a while. So take control of your communications. Those quick little email checks that you do throughout the day, they really do add up. And like I said, most people are spending just under 2 hours a day. And that's a significant part of your daily routine. So to avoid letting communications take control of your schedule, Set up an autoresponder that confirms the receipt of the email and tells people when you're going to respond. If there are other people in your organization, if you do have a team and other people maybe can handle specific tasks, you can also provide their details in that email and say, for marketing, contact this person. For billing issues, contact this person, and provide a different email address. That will help you to feel less stressed that you're not checking in on those emails. It'll help to manage the expectations of the people that are communicating with you, and it will also allow you to spend some focused time. Okay, and then I have talked about this in so many of my trainings, but I never get tired of saying it. Document your processes, okay? Stop reinventing the wheel. This is also going to allow you to be able to delegate tasks when it comes time to offloading things off your plate if you've got a process actually documented. But I use documenting processes for myself. So, and this is another fancy word for this is SOPs, or standard operating procedures. But for myself, there are certain tasks that I only perform once a month or once every couple of weeks, or even like once a quarter or a year. So I write down how to do them. And every time I go to do them, instead of walking myself through it and trying to figure like, oh, do I click here? Oh, nope, that's not it. Nope, I click over here. Oh, wait, what am I doing over here? I have a documented process. For stagers, maybe you have a process for pulling and packing and prepping for your jobs. Maybe you have a D-stage process. Document these things so that you're following a standardized set of steps that has been proven to work. And you can work to improve on the efficiencies of these things, but taking away the need to actually think about what it is that you're doing next will help to free up your brain capacity to do much more important things. So you don't have to spend so much time remembering how to do things, or even rethinking a problem that maybe you've already solved. Now, my number one time management trick, I kind of alluded to this already when I was talking about protecting your most productive hours, but this is to focus on 3 top things for each day and ignore the small tasks. This is huge. Many of us have a ton of tasks on our list that they don't actually need to get done. We really don't need to necessarily get all these things done. So by allowing yourself to not get distracted by this whole shiny object syndrome, what I want you to do is at the start of your day, or sometimes you might do this the night before, identify what 3 tasks you will focus on for that day. Write them on that Post-it note, attach it to your computer, make it your screensaver, put it on a whiteboard, whatever you need to do. Find another visual reminder. But by identifying those 3 tasks every single day, that will help to take your focus away from any of these distractions that come up throughout the day. Now, go back to your priority quadrants. When you are planning out your to-do list and you're selecting your top 3 priorities for each day, these should be items that fall into quadrant 1 or 2. There should be nothing from quadrant 3 or 4 that are your top 3 items for the day. It doesn't mean you're not going to do those other items, but these are the core items that you want to focus on. I understand that sometimes, where busy work comes in handy, sometimes you need a break from some of the super in-depth thinking that you've been doing on some of these bigger tasks. So you can work on some of those busy work in between, but don't get too far down the rabbit hole. By having that Post-it note is going to pull you back out of that. And so this is going to be especially important if you have one of those crazy days where nothing seems to go right, which leads me to my bonus tip, which is the task triage method. So here's the thing, despite your best plans and intentions, things happen outside of your control, and maybe you have to attend an actual emergency or crisis. Now, if this is happening frequently, you will want to dig a little bit deeper as to why you keep getting these emergencies. That's a whole other training, but putting things in place so that everything isn't constantly an emergency. But the task triage method is how you can keep your day from going off the rails when an emergency does come up. So if you looked at your to-do list and were told that you had only a couple of hours to complete any work today, which tasks are you going to focus on? I know this probably seems like an absolute impossible ask, but we've all found ourselves in situations like this, and somehow we manage to get the most critical task completed still, right? So it therefore stands to reason that the other items on your list may not actually be necessary to complete, or so if you're really got your feet to the fire, you're more likely to be able to say, well, this can be delegated, or this can be automated, or this just doesn't need to get done. I can push this out for 3 weeks or drop it off my task list altogether. So Parkinson's law states that our work will expand to fill the time allotted for its completion. So now if you've only got, say, 2 hours instead of 10 hours, how are you going to spend that time? So think about like your ship is sinking. What items are you going to take with you that won't weigh you down? Now, are you servicing your clients? Are you working on invoicing and bookkeeping? Are you working on marketing content? If you are triaging your list every day, so not waiting for those emergencies, but triaging your list every day, you will be able to ensure that you are always working on tasks that truly merit your time and your attention, and you will be absolutely amazed at what you can accomplish. And so, like I said, for those remaining tasks, look at outsourcing them or delegating them or just eliminating them altogether. Okay, so high performance strategy number 3 that I want to talk about. This is going to help you with all these tips that I just gave you, and it is building habits for working on your business. Okay, I want to recap a concept I've spoken about on a couple of webinars, and that is about the power of discipline. So discipline is what will yield motivation. Motivation then yields action, and then action yields results. So the bottom line is that we need to build the discipline in order to get the motivation. We're not just going to wake up every day feeling motivated. Don't get me wrong. There are some days where you're super energized. You can't wait to get to things. But the discipline is really what we need to ensure that we can do this consistently. So create plans, set expectations, set yourself up with routines so that you can create your motivation and take action. So I am personally a big fan of setting up rules for myself. So this is where my discipline comes in. And I have people tell me all the time how impressed they are with my discipline. And here's the thing, discipline, like anything else, it's a muscle. You got to exercise on a regular basis, or you can get out of practice using it. And I don't want you to create 30 rules for yourself that are just absolutely, you're unable to maintain all of them. I mean, that takes a lot of discipline. But creating some rules for yourself, and when I say a rule, it means that it's a non-negotiable. This will help you with that discipline because it's a rule for yourself. So as an example, right now, I have a rule for myself that I'm not allowed to buy any more tea because when I cleaned out my cupboards, I realized I have an excessive quantity of various types of teas. So I need to simply drink the tea that I have before I go out and buy anything else. So I'm only allowed to buy a couple of my core teas that I drink on a regular basis, but all the extra fun teas, no, not allowed to buy any of those until I use some more up. So how does this relate to your business? Well, I often hear people say that they're so busy during the day on projects, doing, taking care of client calls, emails, and all these things that they didn't get any time to work on their business. So then they're going to try to do things in the evening. But I think we all know how well that goes. You get to the end of the day, you're exhausted. Maybe you want to pour a glass of wine, just kick your feet up, watch a show, snuggle with your kitties or your loved ones or whatever. So what do you think is likely to produce better results? I'll work on my business tonight if I'm feeling motivated to, or I have a rule for myself that I work on my business every Monday morning, and therefore I don't make any appointments on Monday mornings. So your rule is no appointment Mondays or no appointment Monday mornings, and then you're going to work on your business. So again, I use this in my personal life for working out. Do you think that you're going to be more likely to get an actual workout in if you say, I'll work out when I feel like it, or I get up at 6 a.m. and work out every day? So some days are going to be harder to get that motivation that you need to do the things that you want to do. So working on your business, this is a habit that needs to be built, and it does start with discipline. So figuring out where you're going to be, like, what does it look like to work on your business? Again, we're going to get through this a little bit more, so hang with me for a little bit longer. So let's start by talking about habits. What is a habit? Well, simply put, habits are routines and behaviors that we perform almost automatically, often without a conscious thought. This might be brushing your teeth in the morning or checking your email compulsively throughout the day. And habits really shape a significant portion of our lives. So why are habits so important? Well, they help us to conserve mental energy for starters. When a behavior becomes habitual, our brain doesn't have to work as hard. So it frees up those cognitive resources for other tasks that you can work on. So think about driving home from somewhere. That doesn't take nearly as much energy as driving to somewhere for the first time, right? Sure, you still have to pay attention to the other drivers on the road, pedestrians, anything else that might be thrown at you, but you know the route that you're taking, you know how you're getting there. So driving somewhere for the first time, on the other hand, you're on new roads, it's unfamiliar, you got to pay attention to absolutely everything. So a lot of times we call this being on autopilot. How often have you pulled into your driveway and thought, I don't even recall getting here? Or worse, I did this just the other day. Oh, I meant to stop somewhere on the way home. And then you're pulling into your driveway. You're like, oh, whoops, I guess I'm not stopping anywhere after all. So habits help us to conserve mental energy. They allow us to grow and improve because we're making a conscious decision for something, to make something a part of our lives that's going to help us to grow and improve. And then we're putting in the supports as well to ensure that we do it. That's what building a habit is all about. And habits can be the difference between success and failure. So small changes in habits can really lead to huge results over time. So for example, you might find yourself with increased productivity, better decision-making skills. If you're an accidental CEO, chances are you are suffering from the productivity paradox. So you likely haven't built a habit for building and growing your business. So this is where habits can come in. And in your personal life, they can help you to live a long and healthy life. And well, that's not so bad, is it? So how do we build these habits? Same way we've built any of the habits that we have, good or bad, every habit we currently have was built at some point. So the first thing you want to do though, is we want to be really purposeful about this. A lot of the habits that we have, we weren't necessarily purposeful about. Not all of them, don't get me wrong. Some of us have some great habits that we worked hard on. But start by identifying what habits do you want to build. So do you want to eat better? Do you want to exercise more? Do you want to be a better leader in your organization or in your industry? Do you want to practice gratitude more? Do you want to lead with curiosity, asking questions more? Do you want to just have a habit of clearing up your unread emails because maybe that stresses you out? So do you want to build a habit for, working on the business, finding time to work on the business? Perhaps you just want to learn one new skill every week. What does that habit look like? So write down the habits that you want to build. Once you've identified what you want to build, then we start building them. The first tip, start small. Take it a step at a time. You're not going to change your habits overnight. So focus on adding any of these habits that you're thinking about to your routine one at a time. You don't want to try to say, I'm going to implement 6 new habits starting tomorrow. So focus on tiny changes. So it could be a 5-minute daily meditation practice or writing one paragraph of your book, but start small and work to build on that. Now, if you haven't read the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, I highly recommend it. One of the most powerful books. It was followed up by another book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It is intended that you read Power of Habit first and then read Atomic Habits after that, because Atomic Habits does build on the power of habit. So in Charles Duhigg's Power of Habit, he discusses the notion of habits following a bit of a loop. So it's cue, routine, reward. So by understanding what those triggers are, those are your cues. What is causing you to do something? Like, what is the trigger? What is it that happens that triggers that initial habit? And then what is the routine that then takes place? And then what is the reward? What is it that we get out of it? So once we identify what these are, we can work to actually reshape them. So for example, if you get on social media while you're having your morning coffee, your coffee is the cue, right? The routine is scrolling social media. So perhaps you replace this routine with consuming a chapter of a personal development book, for example. So think about the cues and the triggers in your life and what routines are following. So then another effective strategy for habit building is actually to make use of habit stacking, which involves attaching a new habit to the existing one. So for instance, if you want to start a daily gratitude practice, you could do it immediately after brushing your teeth. You're already looking in the mirror anyway. Maybe you start by, doing some affirmations and gratitude in the mirror. By piggybacking onto an established routine, it's going to be a lot easier for you to adopt that habit. So for myself, I need to give one of my cats, Abby, has a heart condition. So I need to give her her heart meds every morning. So when I put the kettle on to boil water, that's my cue to then go and give Abby her meds while I'm waiting for my hot water to boil for my tea. And then commit to get things done. All the apps in the world will not work unless you actually commit to getting things done. So this is where some accountability comes in. So surround yourself with supportive individuals who will hold you accountable and increase your chances of success. Now, in order for them to hold you accountable, you've got to set some expectations for what it is that you're trying to do and what this looks like for you, and ensure that they understand how they can help you. People are often seen posting on social media about kicking a habit like smoking or excessive drinking, or perhaps to hit a weight loss goal. That's a great way to show your commitment and get some accountability as well. And then lastly, consistency is key. You need to practice every day, sticking to a consistent schedule and tracking your progress. This allows you to also rely on your habit when your motivation is low. Again, that goes back to that discipline thing. You're going to draw on your muscle memory. But that said, if after trying something consistently, you're still not able to build that as a habit, something's not working. So change things up, find a modification that works for you. But forgive yourself as well if you're not perfect at it every single day. Okay, so let's put it all together. Using the strategies provided today, you're now ready to introduce time blocking into your routine. So time blocking is a time management technique that involves scheduling specific blocks of time for different tasks or activities throughout the day. All right, I'm done reading that part. So it's going to help you to manage your workload. It's going to help you to be more focused, more productive. So let's pull together what we learned today to apply it to time blocking. We're going to start by prioritizing our tasks. So you're going to identify those top 3 tasks, as well as any other tasks that you want to accomplish in the order you want to accomplish them. When you're creating your time blocks, you might start off with, say, 3 hours for working on your business as sort of the general idea, like I'm going to take this block and I'm going to put it to working on the business. But when you're looking at your specific task list, you're going to then identify which tasks are going to go into that block. You're going to structure your week, your days. I suggest starting one day at a time. So starting with tomorrow, what does your time blocking look like? What are your blocks of time? So I'm going to spend 2 hours here doing this, 1 hour doing this, 2 hours doing this, and incorporate both personal routines as well as professional routines in there. And then set realistic timelines for your tasks. So remember Parkinson's law, give yourself enough time, but don't stretch it out more than is actually needed. And then create your time blocks also based on energy. So remember, you've identified what your most productive hours are. So save the more mindless tasks for the times a day that you feel that you have less energy. Time block your meetings and appointments. So what I mean by this is group them together so that you can allow yourself more focused time. So for example, I'm in meetings pretty much nonstop every Tuesday morning, sometimes leading into the afternoon, but that allows me to have my afternoon free to have some dedicated time and some hours strung together to work on some higher level tasks. And then also batch similar tasks together. So this will help you to minimize that whole like switching your brain into different things if you've got certain things that relate to each other. So for example, for my podcast, I'm going to edit that podcast episode, then I'm probably going to create the show notes and I'm going to do the upload onto the platform, create the episode artwork, all those things. I'm going to probably do all those things all at the same time because I'm already in that mindset. And then be sure to include some buffer time. So you need to rest. Remember the Pomodoro method. Ensure that you have some rest time built in there as well, so you're not just literally shifting from one task to the next. And then you know what? Life is unpredictable. So be prepared to adjust your time blocking schedule as needed. Hopefully it's relatively minimal, but I want you to make sure you're building that in there as well. So I want to leave you with one final thought. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of us find our schedules absolutely filled because we're saying yes to everything. So getting clarity on your vision, on your goals, both short-term and long-term, is going to make it so much easier for you to say no to the opportunities that don't bring you closer to these goals. This helps you to stay on track with your highest priority tasks and those opportunities that are going to be helping with that business development. And you're going to be better equipped to evaluate opportunities as they come in if you've got that clarity on your vision. So there's a misconception that saying yes to every opportunity is going to lead to success. And sure, sometimes you do need to say yes. Don't get me wrong. If you're saying no to everything, you are probably going to miss out on some opportunities. So we do want to take some risks and say yes at times, but you want to ensure that these are calculated risks you're taking, and therefore they stand a good chance of leading you closer to your goal. So let me just be clear that even with a super strong and clear vision, not everything you say yes to is going to turn out perfectly. But you don't want to be saying yes too often. People often say like, oh, busy is good, but they're wrong. The truth is that if you're busy doing all the wrong things, if you're busy doing the things that are distracting you from your goals, then busy could actually be causing you more harm. So again, remember, do not mistake busy for being productive, okay? I want you to have a much lighter to-do list and have more capacity to make better decisions. So it's essential to be able to evaluate opportunities as they come in, and you want to ensure that they align with your vision and goals. So again, once you get clarity on your vision and goals, so I can tell you that when I was running my staging business, I would often get people asking me, hey, can you provide some furniture rentals for an event, for example? And here's the thing, I knew that I wasn't a furniture rental company. So while it might have seemed like an opportunity to get some exposure, it's the people who are attending the event aren't necessarily my clients. It's not a room full of real estate agents usually. If it is, maybe I might say yes. And then even if they are my clients, it's promoting a service that I don't actually do. I'm not a furniture rental company. I'm a stager. So two totally different things. So when you're evaluating opportunities, take a look first at the opportunity cost. Every decision has an opportunity cost. The time and effort spent on one opportunity means resources that you don't have to allocate elsewhere. So by saying yes to opportunities that don't align with your goals, you're missing out on those that do. So then when you're evaluating opportunities, consider whether or not they align with your goals. So do you have the infrastructure to support them? And does the potential gain outweigh that opportunity cost? So it's about making an informed decision that's going to move you closer to your vision. And then saying no to opportunities will help you to grow your business on your terms. Don't let someone else dictate the direction your business is going. Saying no will help you to avoid overcommitting yourself, avoid burning out, and better position you to achieve your goals. It also empowers you to be able to stay focused, conserve your resources, and be able to work on some of those high-level tasks. So it's about choosing the doors that lead you closer to your goals and saying no to distractions in order to protect your energy, prioritize your time, and help you to avoid burning yourself out. Okay, so now, as I mentioned, I have a super cool free item for everyone that has stayed with me here, and I'm going to take some questions in just a moment as well. So first of all, the free gift. You probably guessed at this one, but I've got this super cool 7-day time blocking challenge, complete with all your tips for success and a follow-along worksheet. So everyone who is live on this train right now, you are going to be getting this 7-day time blocking challenge. And then for anyone, whether you're live or not, for a limited time, I am offering a free 45-minute business planning session. So I'm going to provide the booking calendar with the webinar replay, or you can go to this link that I'm showing on the screen here. But if you can't wait, go to this link here. This is a free call where we're going to review your challenges, anything you're facing. We're going to create a personalized roadmap to help you to maximize your productivity. So if you want to achieve your goals, if you want to take action, this is going to be your first step. I've never done this before, which is why I'm saying this is a limited time. If I get too many people signing up for this, I'm going to close it down. So definitely get on my calendar sooner than later. And like I said, we're going to work together to help you achieve your goals. So now I do want to talk about another special offer though as well. So imagine having clarity of your goals with the exact strategic plan for achieving them. Imagine what it's like building those core habits we talked about that prioritize your physical, your mental, and your emotional health while helping you to effectively manage stress to ensure that you're thriving in both business and life and help you to grow that business. So let me ask you this. Do you perhaps have big dreams for your business, but maybe you struggle to turn them into reality? Do you have so many ideas swimming in your head, but you're unsure which ones you should pursue? Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and uncertain about how to scale your business sustainably. Or maybe you're tired of sacrificing your health, your well-being, your time with your family, and your own self-care, all for the sake of your business's growth. Now, what if you could get all the supports, the coaching, and the training that you need to do all of this, to get organized on everything, to get all those ideas organized, to eliminate the overwhelm, to reduce the amount of hours that you're working in the business and increase the number of hours you're working on the business, but reduce your overall work week? Just take a moment to imagine what would be different in your life if you could confidently grow and build your business, have that financial security on your terms, and support yourself today and in the future. What would that mean for you, for your family, to have the financial freedom to retire knowing that your future and your family's future is secure? So this is where our Real Women, Real Business Mastery program comes in. So if you're looking to organize the chaos, scale your business while maintaining balance and well-being, then we've got you covered in this 12-month program. If you're here, you're likely operating a business and perhaps your business is growing, but you're finding yourself getting stuck and you're unsure of the next best steps to take. Maybe you have some idea of where to go, but you're unsure how to get there. You might have even tried to replicate some of the strategies or tactics that you've seen other successful entrepreneurs work with, but you couldn't manage to get them to work in your business. And the truth is that although you might face some similar challenges, no two businesses are the same. So neither are their founders or their leaders. And that's why a cookie cutter approach doesn't cut it when it comes to growing your business. So if you're looking for the exact right steps for your business to avoid getting caught up in that chasing the next shiny object or jumping from one strategy or opportunity to another, then this program is for you. So here's how it works. We're going to be working with you over 12 months. And at the end of it, You're going to be easily making 6 figures more in revenue, have better control of your time, and actually enjoy your business again. So in this program, we dive deep into the 12 pillars of business success, and we break them down into actionable steps. We're going to dig into every aspect of running your business, from creating your guiding vision to creating your pricing strategy that's right for you and your business and reflects your value, to the marketing to ensure that you're getting your messaging out there, the systems and the processes that you need to be efficient every day, leadership and agility, and everything in between. This is your business development plan. It's going to allow you to plan for the future while still navigating the day-to-day of your business. This really is the full package. So the way that it works is there's an on-demand element to it. So each pillar is broken down into easily digestible lessons, and each lesson provides a key takeaway at the end of each lesson. And then we're going to use a worksheet so that you can implement it right away. So we're creating these building blocks. So the on-demand training is all video training, and you get lifetime access to this. The overall value of that part, that on-demand portion, is $19.95. And then we're also going to give you our resource toolkit. So this gives you all the tools and templates that you need to put into action in your own business. There's no need to reinvent the wheel here. We're going to give you what you need as a foundation to build strong and efficient systems into your business. You're also going to be getting a unique personalized report designed so that you're doing things the way that you're wired. So if things aren't working for you, it's probably because you don't have this report. I can tell you, I've done this with every one of my coaching clients, both one-on-one and in this training program. And it really helps to enlighten like how you do things, why you do things, and allows you to identify the strengths that you can really lean into. So you ensure that you are working in the best way. So that's why a lot of these cookie cutter approaches don't work too, because they're designed for someone whose brain just works differently, whose natural instincts are just different from yours. So this program takes all that into consideration and gives you tips along the way based on what that report says as to how best to navigate those things. This is super, super powerful. And you're going to get access, lifetime access to all this as well. Total value is $1,800 for that. And then now this is where the real support comes in. You're also going to get this 12-month support package. So over the next 12 months, you're going to get twice monthly Q&A workshop calls. So 24 of them in total. These are like one-on-one coaching times 10, because not only do you get direct access to me to ask questions, and we can workshop anything that you're working on throughout this, but you're also going to get feedback from other members and learn from the questions that they ask. You're also going to get access, 24/7 access to our members only community that also provides feedback and support. You're going to get this whole package for 12 months. Value of this is $14,364. So just to kind of recap everything, on-demand program, resource toolkit, your 12-month support kit, you're looking at a total of $18,159. So now this program, I promise you, is the path to get clear on your business plan and your goals and achieve them, and stop reacting to challenges as they arise. Like, I want you to start proactively planning for your growth and success. You've probably thought that being an entrepreneur meant doing it all on your own, and that can feel incredibly isolating. But with this program, not only do you get the support of a network of like-minded peers, but you also get the guidance and encouragement and real-time support from me. Like I said, value of this program is over $18,000, but that's not what you're going to pay because you're here today. So we've got two different options. We've got your pay in full for $39.95, or we have 3 payments of $15.95 if it's a little bit easier to break it up into 3 easy payments. But because you're all here today for a very limited time, I'm going to offer you a promo on each one of these. So you'll save $200 off the pay in full. You'll save $225 or $75 per payment off the 3 payment option. All in all, the payment in full is definitely, you're going to save more money from that one long term, especially with this $200 off. You have this available until Tuesday next week. That's it. That's all. I do not always offer promotions, especially on this program. It's a new program we've got going here. We've got a fantastic group already in the program. Trust me, you're going to love to join them. Actually, a few of them are on this call tonight, so I'm sure they could tell you about it as well. And then here's my promise to you. If you put in the work with our support, you will add another $100,000 to your revenues in the next 12 months. And the best part is that we're so confident in this that we're going to back it up with our 300% money back guarantee. So that means that if you put in the work, like, let's face it, we all want to get off the hamster wheel. So why wouldn't you put in the work? You put in the work, you will get your time back. You will enjoy what you're doing again. You will make an extra 6 figures in revenue, all without the stress of the financial ups and downs. So if you do not accomplish all of that, I'm going to give you 3 times your money back, what you pay for. Okay, so listen, like I know you've already achieved some success on your own. I know that you can scale and take things to the next level on your own, but why do it alone? I can tell you from my own experience, it does take longer. So having the support that you need over the next 12 months will help you to not only reach your goals faster, but do it without working those crazy hour weeks. This was designed just for ambitious entrepreneurs like you. It's not a cookie cutter approach. There are tons of different ways to get there, but this provides you with the strategies and the steps designed for your specific business to help you get there. So you're going to make more money, cut down on the number of hours you're working. I mean, all that sounds pretty good, I imagine, doesn't it? All right. So does anyone have any questions? I know we covered a ton of stuff here. And like I said, once we're done tonight, anyone who's here live, you will get that free time blocking 7-day challenge. But does anyone have any other questions? Not everyone at once now. Yeah, so Lori's asking, would it be better to do one-on-one coaching or group coaching? I guess, so I'm considering coaching and I've been looking for a coach. I'm not sure if I should do the one-on-one or the group coaching. So I would say, honestly, Lori, set up that call with me, set up the 45-minute call. Oh yeah, I actually had, hold on, I have a link for that, don't I? There we go. You should all be seeing that now. So yeah, so you can go ahead and just click on that link to schedule your call now. But that's the best way to determine it. But here's the thing, there are times where I will meet with someone else, say, you know what, I think one-on-one coaching is best for you. That's usually if you're looking for some quick advancement on some things, you've already got some things in place and you're just kind of looking for some guidance on some specific projects or opportunities or tasks you've got coming up. That's where that one-on-one coaching might be best. But group coaching it's a very different experience. But with the group coaching, you're going to get feedback on any challenges that you're facing, not just from me, but you get the benefit of having the whole support of the group. And then you also get the benefit of getting coaching on things that you weren't even aware of yet. So you didn't even know that you had a question about your business until somebody else asked it. So you get all the benefits of everyone else's coaching as well. So that's really powerful. That's definitely something. Like I said, set up the call with me, Lori, and I'd love to have a chat with you. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions at all? Think about the time management stuff. So I can assure you, I get more done in a week than the average person without working crazy hours. And don't get me wrong, I sometimes work crazy hours. Like, just because I have all these great self-care techniques and everything and all these strategies in place doesn't mean that I don't still find myself working some extensive hours, especially, I mean, more recently with launching the podcast and with having this, the new coaching program, in addition to my one-on-one clients and of course my design business as well. Yeah, there's definitely been some long hours and some long days. But what I'll do is I will take a break in the middle of the afternoon, for example, so that I am maintaining that mental capacity. And overall, I will say that, if I do work a 10-hour day, what I'm getting done in 10 hours would take someone else usually 20 hours or 15 hours. Because of the strategies that I was showing you here tonight. I promise you, if you put these in place and you really focus, you can achieve your goals. All right, well, if no one has any other questions, then we'll sign off. Like I said, watch your email. You will see an email come through with the links for these offers, as well as the link to book that call. And for all those that are here live, you will also be getting the time blocking challenge. Haley says, if you could choose one time management scheduling app, what would it be? Here's the thing. It depends on what your goals are. So for me, I used to use a lot of different productivity time management type apps. Like I had Todoist. I was using Evernote for some of those things. I have my CRM program that has my calendar in it. And I will say that predominantly now I use ClickUp for everything. I love ClickUp. And yes, I will probably be doing a training at some point on ClickUp, but like, it's one of those things that I don't even know where to start to show people all the different ways that I use it. I've been using it for, I want to say 3 years now that I've been using it relatively consistently, especially the last 2 years. And it's game changing. So what I love about it is I can put things with actual dates. It has that lineup feature that I talked about. I can prioritize things based on urgency. I can set the status of things, to say if it's in progress or whatever. But it also, all of our SOPs are actually right in ClickUp in a task. So let's say a task is create social media post, as just an example. In ClickUp is the actual SOP, like inside that task, we have a template that has that SOP in it. And then I can then assign that to someone else on my team. And that task can be broken down into smaller subtasks. So maybe that is create social media posts, and maybe a subtask is take some video at this staging next week, and then compile a reel and create the description for it. So it can be broken down into smaller subtasks. And each one of those can have its own date, its own urgency, its own status, progress showing on it. So I would say that's probably the biggest one for me. But again, it really does depend on what it is that you're looking to achieve. But I think that project management software programs, so I use ClickUp, there's Trello, there's Asana, there's Motion is one I've heard some good things about. It uses AI to reschedule some things for you, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so you just heard about ClickUp on a podcast today. Yeah, definitely check it out. I will say when I started using ClickUp, it was relatively new. And I love when I get in on a program when it's relatively new because it's so simple. And so as they built on it, it's been easier to learn things. It is quite robust now. So I would say to plan for 2 to 3 hours of dive into some training videos. ClickUp has some good ones, but I'll even just go onto YouTube. There's lots of great people on YouTube that are doing some great trainings on ClickUp as well. But figuring out like the different ways to do things, find some getting started videos. That's a great way to get into things, but plan to do a little bit of training on it because it is so robust. I was also one of the original users of Canva, and we had like 3 or 4 little options for things. And now there's the AI and the templates and the photos and all these different things. Like, I'm so glad I learned Canva when I did, because if I was trying to learn it today, it does seem a little overwhelming. So ClickUp can be the same. So keep in mind, I don't know if everyone's familiar with the S curve. The S curve is essentially like our learning curve, and we don't like being at the bottom of our S curve. So think about an actual S. If you're on the bottom, things are challenging. They don't feel very nice. You kind of want to get up on that curve where things feel more comfortable. But then when things get too comfortable, you kind of want to learn something new anyway, because it's too comfortable. But I think the biggest challenge that a lot of people have is that initial part of the S curve. So I just say stick with it. Don't give up. It will be challenging at first to learn it. Because one of the biggest challenges I found with ClickUp was figuring out what works for me and for my business. And then I've got a team of people that also have to learn it the same way that I'm learning it, and we're figuring out and adapting to what it's going to be like. So keep it in mind that you'll continually be adjusting it. But yeah, it can definitely be a game changer, I would say. And I've gotten rid of most of the other apps that I use. I use Todoist for some of my personal tasks, and that's it, because it's just not robust enough for what I need. Any other questions at all? I don't think I missed any other ones that came in along the way. So, all right, well, listen, I'm going to sign off then. Watch your inbox. You're very welcome, Haley. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. So yeah, watch your inbox. You'll get some emails in the next hour to hour and a half. It usually takes a little while to get the replay together. Oh, you're welcome, Yvette. Thank you for coming. Okay, have a fabulous evening, everyone. Or for those who are on the West Coast, have a fabulous rest of your day, because I know you're still kind of in the afternoon hours. But all right. Thank you so much to everyone who came out tonight. Until next time, keep thriving, and I'll see you soon.